Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my Star Wars world. And today we're leaving this island, and last episode we built up the Nether Hub to actually start working on the Naboo section. So if we jump down into our portal down here, and now we have the markers up here, it's nice and easy for me to find my way. So if we head off down our hyperspace lane, we can go to where we have the Naboo build ready to take place. This is the only problem. For some reason I decided to use these fence gates. I should have just used signs. It would have been much easier for me. But yeah, past this, I haven't actually built this tunnel yet, and there's a reason for that, because Naboo is just, it's very far away. If you've seen the previous episode, you would have seen the coordinates as to where I'm going, but it's 4,500 blocks in this direction, and yeah, then 1,500 blocks to the side, so it's a 6,000 block long tunnel. As you can imagine, because my tunnel is just so far away, it's going to be very annoying getting items between the two. And that is it. Look at the coordinates. I will say one thing about this area. This is a massive open area, which is going to be fantastic because it means I don't have to dig out a massive hole to build the Naboo. Now, one thing I will say about this island is that in order to render the whole thing in one go, I've actually had to use the Bobby mod. So I finally got that kind of working, and yeah, we're just going to have to use it for this island because it's just that massive. But due to the size of the island, it does mean that I'm going to need a lot of resources. I mean a lot. But in order to build this monstrosity, we are going to need 700,000 moss blocks. Yes, from the design, 700,000 is ridiculous. It's so many, and my moss farm is just not really going to cut it. So what I've actually done is I've found a design online. I'll put the design in the description, and I've gone ahead and just combined 4 of them and just filtered out all the items that I didn't want. And yeah, I'm just going to basically have a massive storage here. We're going to build 4 of these farms, and hopefully that should drastically reduce the amount of time it takes me to get this moss. Well, that is the quad moss farm built up, and this should be plenty. I've just sat here for 5 minutes preparing to record this clip, and I'm already nearly on 2 double chests worth of it, so this should be plenty quick enough. But there is another resource that we need a lot of, and I'll be honest, I don't actually know how I'm going to do this yet. I can collect the item, but it's going to be stripped jungle wood. And I need 130,000 for this entire island. Now, I am going to be doing this island in sections, so you don't have to worry, I'm not placing 1,000,000 blocks this episode, but it probably will be over 3 episodes, so it's going to be a lot of work. And for the stripped jungle wood, I don't know how I'm going to strip 130,000 pieces of jungle wood. That's just stupid. I'm deciding if I want to do it while I'm building or if I want to do it before. I think doing it before is going to be way too difficult. But I'm going to have to keep repairing my axe and everything. This is going to get ridiculous really quick. But for now, let's forget about that. Let's just focus on gathering that. And to do that, I'm going to just basically build a platform. As you might know from previous episodes, I have the timber data pack on. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and just make a simple little collection system for this. Now, how do I want to go about it? Also, 130,000. How many double chests is that? Oh, now I figured the best thing to do here is just to place it next to this, so that while I'm mining the wood, it'll actually just keep farming up this as well. So that should make it a lot easier rather than having to do them separately. Also, jungle wood is not the only one I need. I need like 30,000 spruce and like 20,000 oak or something stupid as well. So yeah, this is a lot of resources for this. Well, I managed to run out of blocks, so that's good. It's going to look very ugly for now. Well, this should do the job. Just something to push all the items into the middle, and then I can just keep doing it. And then I'm going to put some chests out here, I guess. And look at that, just while I was doing it, it's nearly another whole 2 double chests. They're all almost filled up on the first level. So it's not actually too bad. This is how many double chests I will need. It's 40 double chests, or it's actually about 39, but this should be completely fine. The question is, am I going to have enough bone meal here with me? Well, wish me luck. I am going to now set out on the long task of gathering up all of this jungle wood. Well, I got a little bit carried away with getting those resources, and I actually went through and got basically everything I need for the entire landscaping, other than the moss blocks, because I don't have enough space in here. I couldn't really figure out how to add it after I'd already made this in creative and got my schematic. I couldn't be bothered to increase this because I can just leave AFK again, but there is 400,000 moss. All of this is all filled up now, so everywhere is just completely filled with moss. And I also got all of the wood I'm going to need. Now, I haven't stripped any of it to start with. I'm going to try by just going like one layer, strip it, another layer, strip it, and do it that way. But we do have 130,000 or 140,000 jungle wood. We've got like 30,000 spruce. We've got 4 double chests of dark oak, 6 double chests of acacia, and I actually came up with a little bit of a different method, which did leave me with some stripped. The same for the oak wood, we have a little bit of stripped up here. That's because these single trees were a bit more annoying, and you can probably see already, I've got a little dispenser set up here, and actually it was working out really well. If I hold down the left click without looking at the, without looking at the sapling, then it will grow the tree. It will also strip it most of the time, and then I can press F3 and T to hold down that click. And by using a macro, because I did try using an auto clicker to break the logs, unfortunately that didn't really work out. But by using a macro, I can just click a few times, save the macro on my keyboard, and I was actually able to just like leave it for 4 minutes AFK, go and collect all the wood, put it away, come back, another 4 minutes. So that made it a lot easier. We also have tons and tons of leaves. And I got all these flowering azalea leaves just in case I need them, but actually all we needed was all this spruce leaves. There's like 30,000 here, some acacia leaves, and we've got like 6 double chests of oak leaves and azalea leaves. I also went through and got all the other items that I'm gonna need for building this up. So yeah, I have everything here except from like 300,000 moss, which does mean for the next 2 or 3 episodes I won't need to collect any resources, which is quite nice. But now we need to get on with actually building this. And you can see here, I've put down a bunch of beacons because around the edges we are going to need to flatten this down. This is probably the most difficult side because this side has kind of a flat bit at the bottom behind where the palace is going to go. So I do need to clear out quite a lot of it. For the rest of the island, I won't need to be using the beacons because it's only going to be like a few blocks. It will probably be mostly dirt, so I'm not really worried about that. But I'll tell you what, let's get on with mining out this area. Well, that should be everything that I need to mine out for this area. The rest of the island is actually going to be very close to the shores, so I won't need to dig out this kind of flat area around like I have here. I'm so glad that I'm only doing it on this tiny little bit. I mean, look, this is literally, it's like the crust of the island. It's not even anything major, and that took about 8 hours, so... and think about the beacons as well. Look how many beacons I've got placed down. I would have had to place beacons over this whole island. This would have been absolutely ridiculous. But that does now mean that we can start building up the first section of this, the first part of the wall. I don't know if I'm going to do this over 2 or 3 episodes yet, but it's going to take a long time given how many blocks. So let's just get straight in with the building.
Join me, and together we can rule the algorithm as creator and sub.
And that is one giant cliffside built up. We still have a few more bits to sort out on here. Like you can see, the bottom is still all stone. I did kind of mess up a little bit with the schematic, so I figured I'd build the actual cliffside and then I'll redo this bottom bit from a copy of the world. But just in case you don't really realise how big this is, look, if I just go and stand somewhere over here, and we're just going to go into free cam mode and have a look at this, right? That's me. It doesn't look too big, but as you start to go back and step away from the build, you can see any second now my character should, there we go, that's the render distance for the character, and you can just about fit it all. And look how small I am. That's me. That's me. You can barely even see me against this giant build. And just to go over how much I actually used for this, it wasn't quite as much as I originally thought, because there is a lot of like random blocks on the inside that don't get used, which is just the way that I built in creative mode. There was just some excess, but still it was nearly 120,000 moss. We've got 40,000 stripped jungle wood, and then there's about 5 to 10,000 of the spruce and acacia. There you go, 9,000 used here. So all in all, it took about 170,000 blocks. And you might have noticed in the time lapse, after the first kind of 15-20 layers, it did speed up. That's because I realized building this way with these jungle logs is so difficult because you have to place them in the right angle, otherwise it just looks really messy. So for the first time in this world, I did actually try using the Litematica easy place mode, and to be honest, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It felt a little bit cheaty, it did, but at the same time, that's 3 minutes, that's a 3-minute clip of me placing 170,000 blocks. You understand? And you might have just seen there's a little hole there, so we're going to go over that in a second. But yeah, let me know what you think about me using the easy place mode. I won't ever be using it for the builds, for the actual buildings and stuff like that, because we do those all individually. But look, I still have all of this to go, and just to let you know, that 3-minute clip took me 16 hours. Even with the easy place mode, that was 16 hours, which is absolutely insane, and I haven't even done the bottom parts yet. So yeah, this build is completely mad. I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of it if I wasn't to use that. So I feel like for the landscaping, I may just stick with the easy place mode just to save time, because realistically, you know, you've seen what I'm building now. You don't want to spend the next 5, 6, 7 episodes watching me build the same thing over and over and over again. So I think it's better that I do use that. But as you just saw, there is some holes in this, because as you build with Litematica, sometimes you just kind of miss a gap, especially when you have these kind of areas here where there's multiple blocks on one layer. So you've got to build like 3 over. And for me, if I go down here, there we go. Oh, game's lagging a bit. You'll see like all these blue blocks of stuff I haven't built, because where I built in creative mode using Axiom, I ended up having like excess that was just really difficult to cut off, and I've found a way to kind of avoid that. The problem is I'd already built all of this Naboo island, so for this time this is the problem we have. So it might not be 700,000 moss blocks, but if you want to see what my technique is for actually getting rid of all of these holes, there's a quite simple way of doing it. When you're building a landscape and you've made a big dark area, if you come in here, you can actually see there's light that shines through on all of the spots. I think that's lava down there. But yeah, you got light on here, so I know where all of the holes are. So we're going to go through and patch those up. So we've got one little hole up here. We just fly up here, and then we can just go and fill that in like this. But yeah, you can see as you fly around the front of a build, it's very difficult to see any little holes you've missed. So much easier to see the light coming through from the other side. So if you're ever building a big landscape, feel free to use this trick. It's very, very helpful. Maybe I was wrong, there's no lava here. There is actually a hole. And just like that, all of the holes are patched up. Now, there's a couple of things interesting that actually happened during that time lapse as well, because I realised that stripping the wood as I was going was absolutely a nightmare, and also using the easy place mode would have been impossible, so I'm glad I stripped the wood before anyway. But you can see, like, where is it? Yeah, I've stripped most of the wood. I still have a little bit to go, and that's because, let me just put this on for you. That's because I made this weird little contraption here, which is a wood stripper that is fully AFK and 100% working. It dispenses new axes, and when you switch this on, you'll see it will drop out an axe, and then after 20 seconds the clock should activate again. It will pick this axe up from the hopper underneath, which will get unlocked, and then it will drop another axe. So essentially there will always be an axe sitting at your feet ready to use, and that works really great. I'm really happy with it. This thing will dispense 1 wood every time you make one, and you'll sit in here holding down the buttons. Actually, I set up a macro for it, that way it can strip, place and break the wood all within 0.9 seconds, I believe it is. And then once you've broken a wood, there's a comparator here, so when one goes into the hopper, it will activate the thing to drop you off 1 more, so it consistently keeps you at 32. And also, I don't know if you can see from here, there is 2 little hopper minecarts here, so it's always going to pick up those woods when they're finished. So basically it's 100%. It's a little bit slow compared to some of the TNT ones like the concrete makers, but this is 100%. You don't end up with like the non-stripped ones going through the system, so I'm happy with how this works. Something else I did, which you can see my elytra is getting pretty low. Instead of having to keep flying back and forth to repair my elytra every time, I actually went and just grabbed myself a bunch of bottle of enchantings. I think what I'll do is I'll probably make a pigman farm, zombie pigman farm in the nether above where this is as well, just because it's so far away. I want some XP. I'll try and make a simpler one this time, since the old one doesn't work properly anyway. But for now, this should do me while I'm doing some building here. Now, the one last really cool thing that did happen, which happened right at the end of the time lapse, and I'm not sure if you can actually see it, but you would have probably seen it as I'm flying around here. There's something over here. It's skeleton horses. One of the skeleton horses spawned right at the end of my time lapse. Like, I was just doing this last strip here, and it spawned here, so I decided to kill the skeletons, and we'll keep these horses and do something with them. Let's see what we can do about that. I wonder if I can get one of the mob heads. I don't really want to kill one. I think because it's Naboo, we can make a little stable, and it'll be cool to be able to ride around Naboo on the horse, and it saves me bringing a horse here, and it's a skeleton horse, which is really cool. So there is one more bit of building that we have left to do for this episode, because we just need to give this a little bit of life. We need to make it look a little bit more lively, a little bit better, and kind of complete the look rather than just a cliff face. And you'll see what I mean shortly. But before we do that, I do actually want to take a look at some of the advancements and see if there's one that I can get done now, nice and easily. I actually have one in mind that I would like to try and do, because now that I think about it, this Naboo Island is so far out that like the coordinates are not something I'm going to remember easily. So I might actually go with one of the lodestones and a compass here. So let's just whack this down. For now, we're just going to put it next to this portal. And I made 4. Whoops. So we'll put this in the ender chest, just in case I decide to explore the local areas. It will make it a lot easier to get back. And there we go, country load, take me home. I am curious about something else as well, actually. For one, hopefully, because this is a nice big area, we can get at least one ghast spawn in. Or maybe not. All the time, ghasts have spawned in, annoying me while I'm building my nether hub. And in this giant area, we don't even get one. Oh, but that is a bastion. You know what? Let's go grab some stuff from this, because I'm greedy. Oh, there's a ghast. Here we go. Alright, that completely missed him. There we go. Is it a balloon? So now I just need to look at the ender dragon. Of course, now I'm being harassed by a ghast. Oh, can you not even get me from down there? Oh my goodness, that's super easy. Oh my goodness, how did you get up? Where's the route that you got up from? You know, I really shouldn't be trying this without some potions, should I? I don't even know why I picked up that block of gold. Completely unnecessary. Is this not a treasure? Okay, I'm done. What's going on? Why is there no treasure bit at the bottom? So there is a reason that I came over here. Because there is one mob left in the game which I still haven't killed, and I really don't know how you're supposed to do this. But I guess we're going to find out. Would have been useful if I had brought... I've made the worst shaped portal. This is completely awful. Yeah, I don't have a way to actually light this portal, I've just realised. I must have a flint and steel in my ender chest somewhere. Yeah, so these guys are super scared of portals. But they're also scared of blue mushrooms. Can I scare it in with that? Well, they're just not scared of them anymore. Alright, I think it's going to have to be a different method entirely. Oh my gosh. This is the new method. We just build it in a hole. Oh, he died to my thorns. He died to my thorns. I'm so stupid. I forget about it every time. This is without a doubt the worst mob to get. I have a new plan. I have now a third plan. Those ones weren't working out for me, so I think this is now the better option. You're going to see. First things first, we need to find another hoglin. There's one down there. He'll do nicely, because he's on a little deserted island area. So we just whack these mushrooms down. Give myself a bit of breathing room. Right, here is the plan. Look at this. We're going to build this portal here. Boom, boom. We go like this. Boom. And then we go up, and then we go like this. Right, we have a portal, right? Now, if I take my flint and steel out and we break these, he's going to run at me. Let's see. Can I... It didn't work. It did work. Yes! Now I go through and try to survive while he changes. Now, where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, come on, buddy. Oh, he's done. He's done. Back up, that's my kill. Yes, there we go. That was so much easier. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that in the first place. Just... why not just light the portal as he walks into it? Alright, I think that's enough fun with mobs for now. Let's just push this guy back in. And this happens every time I spawn in at Naboo. It takes a second to catch up with itself. There we go. Oh, I got the Zoglin head as well. I just assumed it was 100% drop rate considering how difficult it is to get. You can see I also killed another wandering trader while I was here. So I'm going to go do a bit of redesigning for this bottom section down here that I missed out. But for you guys, let's jump straight into the time lapse of me bringing some life to this area. Well, that is one large cliffside, all the trees added. I haven't finished this area down here because actually on Naboo there's kind of like a little landing bay for some of the ships, and it's pretty difficult to fly about with the shaders on. So we're just going to go into free cam because it's a little bit more consistent. I don't know why. You can see, look, it flies around nice and easily. I guess it's not using as many resources, but I don't really know why that is. So yeah, we've got this little forest down here on the side. I thought it looked really cool. And all of these are actually just custom trees. They're nothing special. I'm not a really good tree builder. I used a few little tips, like I used some of the tough, like I think B-Dubs does in his forest, and the oak are pretty standard and the spruce are pretty standard. These are designed around a specific tree that I've seen in some pictures of Naboo, and I think they do look really cool and fit the vibe. So I'm very happy with how they all came out. But ultimately, these aren't trees that you're going to go up and look at close in person. This is like for a scenery, for a backdrop. And I think it looks quite good, like a little forest down there. Of course, once we finish this area, it's going to look a lot better. And once we get the palace built up on top of here and some other stuff going on, yeah, it's going to look pretty amazing, hopefully. Now, a couple of things did happen, and you might notice there's some lightning rods sitting up here, floating in the air. That's because they're only there temporarily. Once I get buildings in, and once I put some of the vehicles in, flying in the sky, then we'll put some lightning rods up. But I had a massive panic attack. Honestly, look at all of this wood down here, and there was a lightning storm, and I thought, this is massive. There's a high chance that one of these is going to get hit and the whole thing's going to get burned down, and I could not be building all of this again. Speaking of lightning, obviously I mentioned earlier we got the skeleton horses. You'll see I boxed them in over here. You can see them just through the leaves. That's because they ended up wandering all the way over here, and I think I just saw another hole. Oh, it's not actually a hole. But it does look pretty stupid, doesn't it? Yeah, that happens sometimes when you use Axiom, you miss a spot or two. So yeah, these skeleton horses, I think I found one down here, there was one on the side of the cliff here, and there was one all the way around on the other side, round the corner there. So the reason why I had to redesign this little forest area, as I mentioned earlier, is because on the original schematic, this patch that you see me standing on, this whole bit, it was just flat moss. I honestly don't know what on earth was going on in my head when I made a completely flat piece of moss and put a bunch of trees on it. It looked awful, and yet I still took the schematic and just went and used that. So I had to go and redo that, and I think it looks much better now. There's some sort of hills on here. It doesn't need to be very detailed, it just needs to have a bit of elevation so it looks good. But yeah, you can have a close look up at the little forest here. It looks quite dense from up in the sky, but actually there's quite a lot of gaps. It's just the leaves are all sort of touching. And I went through and chucked in a bunch of just flowers and firefly bushes. Nothing too detailed, and it doesn't look that amazing up close. It's just there to basically give a little bit of detail. When you fly out, you might notice a little bit of shimmering on the floor or a few little things. And that's really what I wanted, because this area is never going to be used. This is just to kind of finish the front side because of this little landing platform down here. If I'd had just that bit sticking out, it would have looked a bit weird. So on this side, we have the bit of the forest sticking out there. Now, I actually finished up building all of these trees about 2 days ago. And the reason why I haven't recorded this for the 2 days is because something was really bothering me. Now, if we come down to the portal here, you've seen this episode. I've been flying down this tunnel, and it is so small, it is so annoying, I could not be bothered banging my head anymore, and I'm going to have to dig the tunnel out anyway. So I did, and I still have Lightmatica on, so you can see I was using that to tell where I need to dig, but I have completely dug out this entire tunnel, the whole way, all 6,000 blocks. And my goodness, is this a relief. Like, flying down this is so much easier. Yes, I do need to build the actual hyperspace lanes, however that can wait for a little bit. At least now when I'm flying between my base, I barely have to focus. I have so much space, the mobs aren't hitting me anymore. This is amazing. If we just get down to the end here, and then we have the little turn down the end, and you can see again I've literally gone the whole way. I mean, it took me 2 days to do this, but I found a really nice method of using TNT where I do like the top line first, put a line of TNT, then there's a specific spot on each side where I can do another line of TNT, blow up the sides, and then one down the bottom, and then I only have to clear up a few blocks after. It was very easy. The main issue is actually these crimson forests. Honestly, I thought Basalt Delta was going to be the worst thing, but this crimson forest is a nightmare to dig out because there's so many holes and gaps in here. The TNT is just not an efficient way of doing it, so I essentially had to chop down all the trees by hand on the way. You can see I've kind of dug out holes into the trees because I couldn't be bothered to dig the whole tree. But I'm so happy this is done. This makes it way easier for me to get around. Don't get me wrong, it's still a 5-minute journey. It still takes me 5 minutes and a full stack of rockets to fly the entire length of that tunnel, but at least it's easy now. Now, I do know that this episode's been a while coming out. It's another month for another episode, and I do apologise. But something I have noticed is that over the last 6 months or so, my episodes have slowly been getting longer and longer. So I didn't want to make this a massive episode like some of the previous ones. I've tried to cut it down a bit. I've tried to not go overboard with the time lapses, but the build is actually bigger. This is bigger than any other build I've done. So we have spent lots of hours on this episode. We do actually have a couple more things to discuss. One of them being my car died. My car broke down. I have had some help from a family member to buy a nice little cheap car to get me a little run around. Just annoying that I have to sort all of that out and deal with it. And the other thing is, I mentioned quite a while ago now that I got made redundant from my previous job, and it's been 6 months. It's been 6 months since I had a job, and I finally got an offer. I'm super happy about that, and I should be starting that job next week, which it's just a bit of a relief, to be honest with you, because, you know, after a certain amount of time, it does start to weigh on you a little bit when you're going for interviews and you're not getting anything. You start to wonder what I'm doing wrong, and you ask for feedback, and people say everything's all good. It's just that someone had more experience in a relevant field or something like that. So it's a little bit difficult, but I got one. I'm very happy. And now that does mean that I'm going to struggle to keep up with the 2 weeks that I was doing before. So I think going forwards from here, what I'm going to do is just focus on the build. I'm just going to do my best with the build and try and make the episodes the best I possibly can. Like you can see here, I spent a lot of hours on this, but I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I think it really came out good, and I want to keep going with that. So I don't want to make any guarantees on when the next episode will be out, because the plan is to finish up the rest of this island, all the back part there. We have all the resources, we've got the light matter easy place mode, so hopefully I can get that done. But for today, that's going to be everything. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.